Once upon a time, across vast sunlit grasslands, there lived a king without a crown, a mighty and majestic lion. Every step he took made the earth tremble. Every roar of his echoed across the plains, a reminder to the world of an unquestionable power. But time, like a river that never ceases to flow, eventually wore down even the greatest legends. His once sharp teeth fell out one by one, his proud claws dulled, his powerful body grew thin, and the eyes that once blazed with fire were now clouded with fatigue. No longer strong enough to defend his territory, he was cast out by his own pride, driven away from the kingdom he had once ruled. Wandering alone across the parched grasslands, the old lion lived with nothing but hunger gnawing at him, day after day, night after night. Hunting had become a desperate struggle. He survived by stalking the smallest of prey, or simply waiting for luck, a rare gift from fate. One misty morning, before the sun had fully risen, he spotted a lone fawn trembling amid the withered golden grass. Slowly, step by careful step, he crept closer, as silent as a breath of wind. When the moment arrived, he summoned the last remnants of his strength and lunged toward the small creature. The fawn's anguished cry echoed across the silent plains, tearing through the thin veil of mist. But his luck had run out. From the edge of the forest, a herd of adult deer charged toward him, their eyes filled with fury. Without hesitation, they surrounded the weary predator. A powerful stag led the attack, driving its antlers straight into the lion's side. The lion staggered, roaring in pain, but his roar was no more than a raspy, broken breath. Another blow struck his shoulder, then another, and another. The lion collapsed, writhing in pain and humiliation. Finally, he was forced to release his prey, dragging his bloodied body away from the field, leaving behind the furious gazes of those who had once been his quarry. Blood oozed from his wounds, and his gaunt frame hunched lower with every heavy step. He did not look back. He simply shuffled forward in silence, a solitary shadow under the rising sun. Wandering aimlessly, the old lion stumbled into an unfamiliar world, the outskirts of the town of Loxton. When his skeletal form appeared on the deserted street, the entire town seemed to freeze. Screams filled the air, and people fled in panic. Yet, among those who stayed, there was no fear in their eyes, only pity. His ragged coat, his wasted body, and his hollow gaze spoke not of danger, but of a soul lost, searching for something long gone. The old lion dragged himself to the front of a small veterinary clinic and collapsed heavily, gasping for breath. Inside, a young woman named Mira screamed in terror. Daniel, the veterinary assistant, quickly calmed the others, signaling Mira to retreat and locking the door from the outside. Through the glass, they watched in silence. The lion did not roar or lash out. He simply panted heavily, his tired eyes occasionally drifting across the photos of cats and dogs on the walls, as if searching for a final refuge. The sound of sirens pierced the air. 3 wildlife rangers arrived, led by a seasoned man named Tabo. When Tabo's eyes met those of the aging lion, they showed no fear, only deep, solemn compassion. He signaled to his team, no guns, no tranquilizers, only a soft net. The net fell over the exhausted lion. He struggled feebly for a moment, then gave up, as if he had accepted his fate long ago. They lifted him into a vehicle and drove straight to Shamari Wildlife Sanctuary, the final refuge for creatures of the wild. Throughout the ride, Tabo sat silently by his side, his gaze never leaving the frail figure before him. At Shamari, the veterinarians were ready. They administered a light sedative and began their examination. The lion's body was little more than skin and bones. His teeth were almost all gone. His gums were inflamed from days of starvation. The wounds from the deer attack still seeped blood. One veterinarian shook his head sadly. "He's too old, he wouldn't survive in the wild." Another whispered, "Maybe that's why he came to us." No one spoke after that. They all understood. The only thing they could offer him now was peace. They decided to keep him at the sanctuary, building a large enclosure with shelter, heating, and soft food he could manage. They named him Quasi, meaning the brave one in the local language. Day after day, Quasi was tenderly cared for. The rangers took turns talking to him as if he were an old friend. Tabo, the man who had first saved him, visited often, bringing a soft blanket and sitting by the enclosure for hours, telling him stories about the world beyond the sanctuary. Quasi rarely left the corner of his shelter. Only when he heard Tabo's familiar voice would he lift his head, a faint glimmer of warmth returning to his tired eyes. There were no more roars, no more hunts. Quasi simply lived quietly, cherishing each day as a precious final gift from life. One early morning, as the first rays of sunlight gently kissed the sanctuary, Quasi did not wake up. He had passed away peacefully in his sleep, softly, like a breeze brushing across the grasslands. Tabo approached and stood silently for a long time by his side. He bowed his head and whispered a final goodbye. They buried Quasi beneath a great tree in the golden fields. On a small stone marker, they carved words filled with profound respect. Quasi, the king who found peace in the arms of humankind. And from that day on, the story of the old lion who sought kindness was told and retold in Loxton, a timeless reminder that strength may fade, but kindness endures forever in the hearts of those who know how to love.